That's old people, you know, you gotta watch out for them. You look excited, have a heart attack over here, toilet, she's bad. Like
I know some of y'all are not great at it, but it's a 50-50 chance you might make it.
Okay, guys, we're live.
Give her one more. We'll call this meeting to order. Please, everyone, remember to silence your mobile devices. Good, ask Brother Randy Pittman, ask the invitation.
Joel, we thank you for the opportunity, to just ask the Lord that you help guide this meeting, God, and, just be with our workers up at DSS, dear Lord, and help them through the many troubles they face, each day, with the job, the difficult job they do. Have your hand upon the decisions we make, and we thank you for your love and mercy. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Let's drop this, we'll lead us in the pledge.
Absolutely. Attention, salute, pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please make yourself aware of the ethics, and conflict of interest or not. Do we have any conflicts of interest this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on for any additions or changes to the agenda this evening. Hearing none, we will
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
move it.
Second.
All in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carries. I notice we're missing, Forward, it seems.
He's on his
way. Okay.
He said he's getting later.
That's excellent. Make it known, I'll be here very soon. That's good. Good enough to be the last. That's good. They're here motion, you guys had a chance to look over the minutes to approve the July 1st, 2024 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, vote with the usual sign. Motion carries. We'll come in hot and that leaves us right to Ms. Wynn's update for us.
Good evening.
Hey,
First week of August, that's hard to believe, isn't it? It's crazy.
we shall, schools, Christmas will be here before we know.
Okay, so once again, some updates for you. Our next MDT meeting is the 13th of this month. Our next law enforcement meeting is August the 8th at 3 o'clock.
Is it at the DSS?
It is at the DSS building. On the 23rd, we held a foster parent training and dinner for the foster families as well as our social workers. And it was a training, there was probably 42 in attendance. So that was great for us all to get together and go through the training. And there were social workers that heard the same information. So we're once again just trying to build relationships there.
How many families do we have now currently in Mitchell County?
How many
Total
foster?
families, yeah.
12, yeah. Making sure.
4 in training,
Yeah.
That's the most we've had in training. In a long, because we've not had, you know, I'm aware of, we've not had any in a while, have we?
We usually have 1 to 2, so
That's
that's good
good.
to have 4 at one time is
That's really
unusually
good.
hot.
On the 29th, we held our event. This was sponsored by the Community Child Protection Team, those that are on that. This was our human trafficking event, and this was hosted at Bear Creek Church, and we had over 60 in attendance there. And there was folks there from EMS, 911, the Sheriff's Department, mental health providers, the health department. So it was hard information to hear, right? But it's just what's going on in our community, unfortunately. So it was talking about human trafficking, labor trafficking, and sex trafficking, and a new one I learned, organ trafficking. So that was pretty, to hear, but we had a great presenter, and he made some contacts and shared with the law enforcement a program that he can link them with. And if they choose to investigate someone for human trafficking, there's like a 99% success rate in getting these substantiated or whatever the law enforcement term is of charges sticking and there actually being something that could be done. So I think it was great for law enforcement as well as us to be there.
Well, welcome. It was noted that you were later than I was, so it was only noted by me though, so. Good to have you, sir.
It's good to be here. Somebody for a quiet.
I can't let you slide. Gotta give you a hard time.
On the 11th of July, we did have our APS quarterly review. This also went well. The state looks at us on from like a 0 to 4 a grade, and we had 4s in almost every area. I think maybe 1 or 2 3s. So once again, that's going well with our state reviews. Medicaid is still going through their RETA audits, and just so you know, these RETA audits are 10 months long. So they're pulling anywhere from 10 to 20 cases a month looking at those. And we're still at 100% with those. So I'm still very pleased. As far as Medicaid too, I just want to give you an update. We are interviewing for that expansion position that was approved. And I did get a total from Michelle. Now this is total clients in the county receiving Medicaid. If we can't, the state can separate expansion clients, but just this is a total for all Medicaid. And there's 4,106 total enrolled in Medicaid in Mitchell County. So just so you know, we have 10 workers currently. So you're looking at roughly 400-ish per worker. So yeah. And so we are interviewing for that other position, and we've had a great selection of candidates, probably 5 to 6 really great interviews. So we'll be selecting for that.
Is that near more about what the state, like, how much, do you know how many, like, for workers? Like, how many cases across the state?
They have not
number?
set a caseload assignment for Medicaid, so.
Whatever's less than 400, right, whatever 11
That's,
and 4,000 is.
I mean, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, to be effective, that seems,
Mhm.
I don't know how much work's involved with the
Yeah.
case, but.
Unless there's changes reported, you're looking at research every year, but there's changes, there's, new
Is that
things.
like, when you say research, that's like basically saying you're still eligible, you're still would be eligible for the, whatever
Yeah.
you're receiving?
Every year they have to look at to see if they're recertified to be eligible. So they have to make sure everything is still the same. They have to bring paperwork in and just look at all their assets, all that kind of stuff, and make sure that they're still eligible. So that's yearly. Unless they may have obtained employment, and so their salary's changed or something has changed within their home. So at that point, they would have to report a change, and that's when you're looking at additional work. Yep. Child support also continues to do well. They're meeting and exceeding their goals. I think, like I said, I shared this last time at our MOU. They're at 105 in some areas. The state is at 99%, and they're at 105. So I'm still very pleased with them, and they do these monthly. So this is the information that we're getting monthly. The Workforce and Energy also is going well. They do not have theirs. It seems like they don't have theirs as often or as detailed as some of the others, but they're, from my knowledge, still going well. And I did want to share as far as energy assistance. We did receive some energy assistance funds in July, and this is to help our folks for cooling, right? So someone may need help purchasing an air conditioner, a fan, their light bill because of their air condition. So we do have those funds available if anyone is in need. We want to help our elderly, we don't want them to get too hot and that sort of thing. A lot of them probably freeze to death, But
You don't get,
there's
you don't
some
get
that,
as many requests in the summer, do you, as you
No.
do in winter? That's.
no. But yeah, it is available if they need it. CPS, we just met last Thursday with our state consultant. He was there. They didn't really review data this time. We just kind of got some updates on future changes and policies. And then the last thing I wanted to share, you know, Steve, you were mentioning our recruitment efforts. We have been partnering with Caring for Children and the Foster Family Alliance for an event, and I'll pass these around and feel free to take as many as you like because we want to kind of get the word out. This is a movie that we are going to be showing at Bear Creek Baptist Church on the 14th of August at 6 p.m. It is a free movie. And this movie it is a true story of a small town in Texas that was really trying to address the children of foster care, and recruiting foster parents. And that small community, I think, helped pull 77 children out of the foster care system, and there's in that little small community. So this is a movie that we have partnered with these folks. This movie will be showed at the church, and then there's going to be some recruitment afterwards. So we're hopefully going to have like some cards, some, you know, please follow up with me if you're interested, and then we're going to start from there. So, you know, we have 4 in the process. You know, this may be enough to do like a big group class, right? Versus individually what we're doing now. And we're also sharing this with our surrounding counties because obviously each of us need foster parents. So if you would help us spread the word with that. And it is PG-13. So just that awareness, I mean, this is true scenes, right, that these kids face. So, but we're really looking forward to this and hoping that this can call some attention to the need out there.
You say you would not view this.
Well, it's PG-13, but you know, you're gonna have these kids, it just depends on their maturity level, Jeff, you know, and how you feel. I mean, obviously, I don't know that I would under 13, I guess, but just because of the
What
rating.
about for adopted children? Probably not.
Well, I mean, I don't know what they've remembered or not, you know, I guess if we don't want it to trigger something for them, but then it might be healing as well. It just really just depends on the situation. So. Any more questions?
I saw that advertised, it looked pretty neat. I would imagine, because it was one family, right? They took all these kids.
Well, it was a pastor in a church, and you know, some of the reason why we're kind of targeting the churches, right? And he kind of charged his congregation to really take care of these kids. And it started there with him, and I think it was 22 people within that church, and between 22 people, I think is what it is, 77 kids. So that's, I think is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. And it was done, the movie was done by Angel Studios. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but it's a true story. So.
Any other questions for me? Sean? Oh, 15 minutes.
Good evening.
Evening.
I mean, major thing, but just going over, we currently have 40 kids currently in foster care. We had one child transition out, and we had another kid that was, their case was transferred. That's kind of what's reflected on the adoption. We went from 7 kids, free for adoption to 6 kids adopted, 3 for adoption. The reason for that shift, is one of those kids, that case became a conflict of interest, so we had to request another county, take that case. That's kind of reflected in those numbers. We do currently have 5 kids on trial home placement. Trial home placement is when the kids are actually back in the home with the parents. But their case is still open with the court, making sure that reunification is stable before we close that case. So we have those 5 cases that are pending on closing, hopefully within the next, usually 30 to 60 days. We do have 12 families, licensed foster home families, and we have 4 in the licensing process. And so they're getting, those 4 families are actually getting pretty close to towards the end of their training process, and the licensing process takes a while. It usually takes about 6 months or so, depending on the family. But we're going forward with all those. That's hopefully, again, we've been wanting to target getting about 20 to 25 families licensed in our community, because we feel like if we can get that number, we would be in a pretty good position. So we're hoping that this opportunity with the Possum Trot movie, that they'll give us another opportunity to pull some more families into the training process and continue to build our network of foster parents in our community. For calls coming in last month, we had 14 calls come into CPS. 8 of those were screened in, and we had 12 investigations or assessments ongoing at the end of the month. And then we had we're down to 1 family in home services at this point. That's CPS. For APS, we had 5 calls. We accepted 4 of those 5 calls. And we were still doing 2 assessments, or open assessments, at the end of the month. We currently have 6 individuals we're working with and planning to mobilize, and it's basically a case management service. So we continue to build that area up. As you can kind of see, the numbers have continued to grow this year. So we're up to 6 now in that area. Special assistance in home, we have 2. We have 13 payee, and we have 13 still in guardianship with us. And we have 1 open facility complaint right now that we're finishing up. That's kind of the APS part of it. Just kind of look at child daycare subsidy. We currently are serving 57 kids in daycare. Right now we've got that contracted out, but we continue to monitor those. And then Work First, this month was pretty busy. In July, 24 referrals came in for Work First services, and we're got 1 child ongoing case in that category as well. So I think as the economy shifts on people, we see those numbers increase in times like this. So well, I would suspect as the things continue to shift on families and the needs continue to shift, it will continue to see families reach out to us and for assistance in the coming up months, based upon kind of we're the projected situation that we're in with the economy at this point. That's all I have. Any questions?
The one about the nursing facilities. When you get a complaint, you investigate it. If you find that complaint to be true, where does the process go from there?
So there's basically, you look at the rural area, you go in, you assess the rural area. There's all these different rural areas. You determine whether or not there was a deficiency in that, and it could be as normally what we find is we do a corrective action plan. The facility's given a corrective action plan, they fix it, we verify it's been fixed. The state's notified of the process, and that's kind of the process that we work is go in, identify the area of concern, identify a plan to correct it, monitor it, that it's corrected, and then close the case.
Since you've been here doing this, have you ever dealt with a situation where the plan was not followed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But I mean, if we had a situation like that, obviously we would want to know if someone was concerned about that, so that we could, obviously double check and make sure that there is a concern that
we were able to follow back up with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you. Okay.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
At the end of Monday.
right.
Glad to see it. I'm gonna report two things for you this evening. One is I just want to touch base with what it looks like for our end of year for DSS. So I've included in your packet my spreadsheet of all programs, and it says the year end for June 2024. If you look, it's double-sided, but if you look at the front page, you'll see that all expenditures should be, all of our cost and revenue should be in now. I don't think that, I can't think of anything outstanding for DSS that would come back and post to this year, so this is a pretty solid projection of how we're gonna end up. So if you look at expenditures on the front page at the very top right, you'll see that we're coming in all programs at 96%. So I'm pleased with that. We did have to move some money around this year, do a few budget amendments to cover costs, but we were able to come in at 96. So I'm happy to report that. On the other side, you'll see our revenue report. It was touch and go most of the year, but most of the year it's gonna be that because we're playing catch up all year. But we did catch up and we hit our mark right at 100%. Happy to see that. If you look in the first part of that section, most of our revenue comes in through federal DSS or state DSS. We were a little bit under in our federal, that's where staff codes to programs, but we blew it out of the park in the state share. So that just means the state is reimbursing more than the feds in what we're coding currently. So looks pretty good to me. I'm happy about the end of the year status where we're at. Like I said, Mavis will probably be closing out the books, and I don't think there's anything else for DSS, but there may trickle in an invoice or something, but nothing that would skew this too far. So then there's July, which is really cut and dry to report on 1 month. We should be at 8.3%. We're at 7.5% in cost. No revenue has been sent up to the state or feds to claim any reimbursement, so I don't have any revenues to report. So any questions about finances?
Nice, come on, over revenue and under expenditures.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who helps watch over our budget. Thanks to staff who follow directives in code and are careful with cost. It's teamwork for sure.
Nice, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it down the bit? Well, I know last year we said it was almost 10%, right?
So last year we came in at 89 expenditures, but just under at 95 for revenue.
Okay. So is this in addition to last year, or we have a?
The year
Did we
before, what I
adjust-
just said, yeah.
So did we adjust the budget down to match those numbers, or?
No, we actually are pretty close.
Okay.
Our expenditures are like 4.4 and 4.5 year to year.
Gotcha.
And we spent, I think we spent 1.9 as a county.
Okay.
This year, last year, we spent 1.8.
Yeah, I think it's several budget there for the,
For the previous year, that's that.
I think it's the last. Last. appropriated budget, this is maybe. On the July report, the 3.2, there.
If you look at the end, kind of the year end, it's kind of in the middle.
Right in the middle where it gets county funds, that's your bottom line numbers. So our actual, see, what we budgeted and what we actually spent there. Last year, I have that report.
Mhm.
Last year, we budgeted 2.3 and spent 1.8.
So last year budget 2.3, but 1.8, and we brought the budget still come under, so that's nice. Yeah,
It's good. Thank you, guys. Good.
Thanks. Legality, on every side.
Any items for discussion this evening? Don't be anything.
And then. Don't think we have a need for a closed session. Any board comments this evening, Commissioner Fitton,
Great job on the work.
Commissioner Masters,
No comments about.
Commissioner Roberts, no comment. And Commissioner Hart.
Starting this last meeting. Had family in town, out of town, so to speak, so we're on vacation, but. Good job, guys. I mean, across the board and everything. So.
I wish I,
commended.
Jeff, I wish I could remember like 2018, 2019, trying to think of the numbers. It seems like we were very, it's nice to see a consistency across the 2 years, you know, that's because we were kind of roller coaster in there for, you know, a couple of years through there. So
We had 96 kids in custody. On a consistent basis. Very seldom dropped under 90, I was. Popped at 100,
Wow.
and that's. 6 years ago, Steve,
yeah, that's what.
and I think we spent more money then than we're spending now 6 years later. So. Yeah, a totally different. Totally different atmosphere when we come into a meeting and we hear the reports. Okay. So, like I said, job great done, well done, a lot of hard work, and I'm sure it's, you know, it's not one individual, it's the whole concerted effort. And, you know, it takes a special person to do what you guys do because of the stuff that you deal with on a daily basis, not just with children, but as we see with adults. And I'd say it'd be very, very hard to break that stuff on with you at different times and, you know, keep you sane. So. But, yeah, a lot better in state.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank y'all for doing a thankless job, is what I would say. The only person who's got a job I would consider worse would be Alan, so you guys are a little bit better off than Alan. Other than that.
Always one worse, you know.
It's, guys are doing an awesome job. I appreciate it. Anything else? No, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Yep.
I can't do that, you know,